Alright guys, so I'm over here on the rental ground checking crops. 8 days ago the sorghum was planted, and as you can see we have sorghum. This is all sorghum here. I pulled this one out just to make sure that I was actually seeing sorghum and not weeds, and it is definitely sorghum. It's not all out of the ground yet, but a good portion of it is. So here's our sorghum. I know there's a lot of weeds here, a lot of grasses that come up in this field all the time. This was CRP for 30 years before I started running it. So there is a lot of seed in the seed bank here. It's just a never-ending battle. But I'm not going to, or I decided not to spray it because I think with the rate that this sorghum grows, it's going to get up and shade out most of that grass anyways. And I'm not for sure what we're going to do on this field, if I'm going to chop it or if I'm going to mow it and leave it lay as long as possible and bale it, or if I'm going to bale it and rent a wrapper and wrap it. Not for sure yet, but the corn's out of the ground. I still see a few places where we've either got some skips or we've got some corn that isn't out of the ground yet. So this farm over here is kind of funny. This ground, it's very droughty, so that's a lot of the reason why this landlord rented it to me and nobody else, because tillage just doesn't work on here. There's a reason it went into CRP, and it's because they can never get a crop to grow on it. So my population is a little bit lighter than I wanted to, but it looks like we're still around that 26,000 population. We'll know more in another week. Being I don't have spike closing wheels, it's really hard to tell what the issue is, but I do need to get spike closing wheels for my corn planter next year, and I have one row unit that's bent. I discovered that over here, so I need to either buy a new row unit or buy a parts corn planter. Yes, a parts corn planter, which is cheaper than a row unit. Find another 7,000 deer that I could use for parts or something, and change that one row. But I didn't get over here soon enough to get this sprayed. I wanted to spray it before the corn come up. This is that dudek open pollinated, and I was hoping to spray it with Roundup before everything come up, but that just didn't happen. So we're gonna let this go for another week or two, and probably 2 weeks. And then we'll come over here and get this sprayed. But I want to wait until I get that last field of sorghum at home planted, because I want to spray that first. So being we've been spraying Roundup in the sprayer, I want to get the last field sprayed of Roundup before I switch over to a conventional spray to spray this. So, and by waiting another week or two, that's going to let this corn get up higher and it'll be easier to see. Of course, it's going to let the grass get taller too, but it is what it is. I'm hoping to spray one time over here and be done. So I just need to talk with the guy, the agronomist that I'm dealing with on my spray for this conventional stuff, to make sure none of the spray or none of the chemicals that I'm going to use are going to hinder new seeding next year, because I do plan to seed this down. If we have an awesome year and corn comes off early, I'm hoping to get rye on here with new seeding, and hopefully next spring we can cut it for hay right away instead of planting in the spring. But we'll see. Anyways, the sorghum is starting to come out of the ground. This was the first field planted. And you will notice on the outside rows here, there's a bunch of alfalfa coming. This is all alfalfa that was still in the seed box from planting my last field at home. I didn't clean it out. I just figured to run it out over here. So there'll be a bunch of alfalfa in these outside 20 feet. So I don't know if it'll survive or not, if that sorghum will grow up and shade it out and kill it or not. But anyhow, that's what it's looking like. I was hoping to see more of it up than this, but like I say, it's only been 8 days, and we haven't had a whole lot of rain since then, and this field over here needs rain often. So, but that's what it's looking like over here. We'll probably come back in 7 days and do another update on the sorghum. And just to clear it up, it is Sorghum Sudan grass hybrid, so it is just your run-of-the-mill seed though. It is not BMR. It is just Sorghum Sudan.